to endgame in record time running this combination here. So on Essence Drain, you're just going to toss Swift Affliction for the 30% more damage over time. You're going to grab Considered Casting for the 35% more damage, and then you're going to grab Chain so that you're ensuring that this takes down entire packs at a time. And then you've got Zenith, which is going to give you 30% more damage while you're above 90% of your mana. If you're having a hard time keeping your mana above 90% before using this ability, feel free to pick any other damage enhancing gem that sounds fun to you. And then there's Contagion. You'll throw this on an enemy and then you'll throw Essence Drain on it. And what happens is it spreads this plague across all of the enemies in that area and it instantly kills them. So you'll be able to throw these two things on a mob in the middle of a pack of mobs and that whole pack will die every time. So you'll run to a pack, drop these two spells on them and just keep going, and then run to the next pack, drop these two spells on them and keep going. You hardly have to stop moving forward the whole time you're in the campaign. And then this dot does an incredible job of simplifying all the boss fights. You can just throw the dot on them and then circle around them. They'll die. You'll be fine. You can focus on keeping yourself alive and you're not locked into any animations that get you into trouble when it comes to taking damage from the bosses. For Contagion, you're going to be using Magnified Area so that you're getting more of the enemies in the spell, and you're going to be using Unleash. This basically ramps up the effectiveness of this spell in between uses here. It's going to recast it for you a couple of times. And then finally, we'll use Rapid Casting to give us 15% increased cast speed because we're just tossing this on there and then tossing this on there and then we're running, right? And so anything we can do to keep these cast times quick, it's going to make it all feel better, as is often the case with these type of mage builds. Finally, while you're heading through the campaign, Dark Effigy is nice. It's just a little bit of extra damage. You're only going to use this on bosses or on really stubborn rare mobs if you feel like you need to. And this is just going to add a little bit of damage to you. And then it's also going to wither the boss, increasing the amount of damage they take from your chaos damage. You'll have these three abilities up and running really early in the campaign, and I promise it'll be one of the easiest campaign experiences you'll ever have while working your way to endgame in Path of Exile 2. Then somewhere around level 50, maybe 60, you can switch to the Fireball ability. When you first unlock this ability, what you're going to do is drop Living Bomb on an enemy, then Fireball them. This is going to create a Fire Infusion, which means the next time you cast your Fireball, it's going to explode and cover the whole screen in projectiles. And until your Fireball is doing tons of damage and your crit damage and crit chance are really ramped up, this is a nice way to have that full screen clear reliably. So at this point, it's a two-step process instead of a one-step process, but later you'll be able to full screen clear just by right-clicking your Fireball if you want to. It's going to be doing that much damage, and you can kind of forego the Living Bomb unless you find that the mobs just aren't dying quite fast enough for your liking. Then if you have time, you can drop Living Bomb before your Fireball again to get those Fire Infusions to juice up your Fireball even more. Then you've got your Ember Fusillade. This is going to be your single target damage ability. This thing pumps, man. You walk up to a boss, you let this go. You'll usually take half of their HP in a single volley if you don't kill them entirely with that one volley. That's how powerful this ability is with the setup that we're running here. As for the support gems, we've got Unleash here. This is again going to save up seals and then recast the ability for you up to 2 times. And so that means pretty much all the time you're going to be having those 2 seals because you'll run to a pack, cast your ability, run to the next pack, cast your ability. And so you end up usually having 2 seals every time you use this ability. Then you've got Wild Shards. Supported skills have a 25% chance to fire 8 additional projectiles in a circle. So 25% of the time, or 1 in 4, you're going to shoot projectiles in all directions, which is going to really help for that screen clear, especially once you start getting comfortable moving deep into the mobs and letting your abilities fly. Then you've got Considered Casting. This is going to again give us 35% more damage. Then we've got Fork. This is going to cause our projectiles to fork when they hit enemies, so that once they hit an enemy, they split into multiple projectiles and hit more enemies behind them. And then finally, when you get that perfect Jeweler's Orb, you can slap in Fire Mastery into that 5th slot. For Ember Fusillade, you can go with Wild Shards for the extra projectiles. You can go with Considered Casting for the 35% more damage. Then you've got Compressed Duration, which if you get them saved up, it takes a second for them to release. And that's just going to reduce the amount of time after you stop casting before they finally release there. And then you've got Fire Mastery for enhancing the damage of the ability. And then finally Fork, so that when it hits the enemies, it forks and hits more of them. 99% of the time when you're running through the maps, all you're going to be doing is using Fireball for your AoE damage. And then when you get to a boss or really thick, rare, you can use your Ember Fusillade to delete them. For Living Bomb, we're just going to be using Harmonic Remnants. This is going to give us a 20% chance for supported skills to create an additional remnant. What remnants do is heal you when you walk near them, and they can even overheal you. So if you have 3,000 health, your remnants can take you up to 4,000 health of overhealth. It kind of acts like an extra energy shield for you. And then you've got efficiency. This is going to make this ability cost less just because mana is a little bit of an issue as you're running through this game as a mage, and it becomes less of an issue when we take certain nodes on the passive tree, which I'll point out to you guys. You'll use your abilities and a potion, and then you'll head up to the next pack, use your abilities and a potion, and you'll get into a nice rhythm like that, and mana shouldn't be a problem for you. And then finally, supported skills have 20% increased cast speed, just because this is an ability we just want to get out there, kind of like our contagion was. We just want to get it on a mob before we hit him so that we can collect that fire infusion that creates when we hit the mob. That's all we're using Living Bomb for, is the fire infusions to further juice up our fireball. Here you see it says plant a seed of fire inside the enemy. Dealing enough damage to the enemy or killing it outright causes the seed to explode, dealing damage in the area and leaving behind a fire infusion remnant. And so that's why we're using harmonic remnants here. We get 20% chance for supported skills to create additional remnants, as well as being able to pick them up 100% further away. So we kind of absorb them from much farther away. We don't have to run right on top of them, which, you know, often cases in the middle of enemies, what have you. And then the last ability we'll talk about is Despair. This is the only other ability I'll use from time to time. Maybe I'm walking up to a boss, I'm about to unload on it. I'll debuff it with this, causing it to take extra chaos damage from me. We're putting out exclusively chaos damage. This just makes them take more damage from chaos. Perfect. As for our ascendancy, you're going to go with the Bloodmage. The first time you unlock Bloodmage, you get to grab this passive for free, which causes your skills to take an equal amount of life and mana when you cast them. So your mana is constantly going to be going down when you cast your abilities. Like here, you can see I cast it and my life is going down. You can see there in the bottom left. To help with survivability while we're running through the campaign, we're going to grab the life node and the grasping wounds node first. That's just going to give us more max life, as well as causing 25% of life loss from hits to be prevented. And then that much life is instead lost over 4 seconds so that you can try to heal through it. If you haven't switched over to Fireball yet, when you get your second ascendancy, you're going to grab the next life node and Crimson Power, which is going to give you additional life equal to 100% of the item energy shield on your body armor. But when you switch over to Fireball, I would respec those into spell critical chance and Sunder the Flesh. Base critical chance for spells is 15%. So this is just going to make it so that your Fireball is critting much more often. Really nice to have as soon as you can. And then for the third ascendancy, we'll take spell critical chance again and Gore Spike. 1% increased critical damage bonus per 50 life, which means you're going to have a ton of crit damage. For the fourth ascendancy, we'll take Life Leech. We're going to get 12% increased amount of life leeched, and Vitality Siphon. 10% of our spell damage is going to be leeched as life. That's just going to be nice for counteracting the amount of our health that is being lost every time we cast an ability. As for our passive tree, let's talk about that really quick here. So I'll have a written guide that has different passive trees for different level stages. So basically, as you're working your way through the campaign, what you're going to be doing is taking spell damage and chaos damage nodes. And then as you switch over to Fireball, you'll go ahead and grab the Black Flame Covenant. This is what changes fire spells to chaos damage, which is kind of what is powering this entire build. Your endgame tree is going to look a little bit something like this here. We worked our way up to get our Black Flame. We went over here to take this massive crit chance and crit damage node section here. And then here we came to this section for chaos damage. We went up here for crit chance and crit damage. And then we came here for the enhanced chance to have our spells fork an additional 2 projectiles. We came here for the spell damage and the cast speed. One of the main things that's going to make this build feel good is once you get your cast speed kind of sorted out. That's something that I constantly find myself sacrificing in order to get more damage. I'll give up a little bit of cast speed so I can take some more crit damage, some more crit nodes, or maybe some more defensive nodes. And it always seems to be the cast speed that I let go of, because either way, it's going to take 1 or 2 casts to kill the enemies. And so that's one of the things I have to go back and remedy now, is maybe put a little bit more cast speed on the gear than I currently have to get my cast speed to a more comfortable place. And down here, we've got more crit damage and crit chance. So this tree is mostly just me pathing towards crit damage, crit chance, and forking. Now, one of the most noteworthy nodes that we're grabbing is going to be this one right here, efficient casting. I would recommend getting this as soon as possible. This is going to increase the efficiency of your spells. Between all 3 nodes, you've got 36% increased mana efficiency for when casting your spells, which is huge. It feels amazing. It instantly makes it so that you're not constantly running out of mana when you're in battle. So definitely grab this one, especially once you start getting some gear with plus to fire spells or plus to spell skills. This greatly increases the cost of those abilities, making it real easy to burn through your mana pool. Now, speaking of the gear, like I promised at the beginning, this build functions without any expensive gear whatsoever, and I'm still wearing largely inexpensive gear. So what I played through the entire game with all the way up to just about T15 was this wand right here. It's just a +3 all spell skills wand. You can get these things for next to nothing on the market right now. And I ran with this Wave Shaper Tideseer mantle. This is a surprisingly nice and cheap unique that you can wear as you're farming currency in the end game until you get a little bit, and then it's really nice to switch to Kaom's Heart if you want to. But I was able to wear this all the way up until T13, T14, and by then I had plenty of currency to throw some at a cheaper Kaom's Heart before eventually upgrading to this one here. And the reason that Wave Shaper Tideseer mantle works so well with this build is because it's giving you that extra 40 spirit that you can use if you want to activate a bunch of auras to debuff enemies and buff yourself, heal yourself, which is really nice to have. But it also gives you a surprisingly large amount of armor. You can see here, if I put on my Kaoms with 641 armor, I've got 45% damage reduction from armor. If I put on this like 1 Exalt Wave Shaper, it goes down to 43%. And the reason is at the bottom there, it says gain 37% of my maximum mana as armor. So because we're a mage with a massive mana pool, that converts into quite a bit of armor for us, which converts into quite a bit of damage reduction, which makes this actually a really tanky build. And so then as you get higher level, you're going to invest in just enough strength to wear some armor gear and then eventually slap on your Kaoms, which is going to then really juice up your defense and your health. As for the stats you're looking for on your wand, the primary thing you're looking for is plus to the level of fire skills or plus to spell skills. Either one's going to work. And extra damage as lightning, extra damage as cold, extra damage as fire. Those are all great stats to have on your wand. And so is crit chance for spells and cast speed. Those are the primary things I look for. And then in your offhand, you'll be wearing a focus because on the focus, we can get +2 spell skills again. So it's really cheap to get a +3 to spell skills on here. And then here, you're going to be looking for spell damage and chaos damage. Look for a high weighted sum of those two things. And again, if you can get crit chance for your spells, that's great. It's okay not to have life and resistances on your focus because getting all of that with life and resistances might get pretty expensive for you. In fact, I'm running T15 maps and here's mine. It's a really mediocre one I think I found on the ground while leveling it up. You don't need anything special on the rings, but having chaos damage, cast speed, and life are really nice to have on these things. Here I am doing T15 maps and bosses, and I'm still wearing this level 36 ring I found while proceeding through the campaign. That's just how powerful this build naturally is. We've got a lot of gear like that. Again, this ring here, pretty much only wearing this for chaos resistance. I wanted to prove that this build was capable of running on incredibly inexpensive gear, and so my gear is going to be incredibly inexpensive. Boots are going to be what the boots are always for, your move speed, and then defensive stats like life and resistances. Same thing for the belt. You're going to just basically be looking for life and resistances. This is a great place to get some affordable chaos resistance. Once you get to that point, you won't really need chaos resistance all that much until you get into the end game. As for the gloves, we're just looking for life, resistances, and armor. I should also mention we're looking for armor on the gloves and the boots. And then as for the amulet, you're just basically going to be looking for +2 to spell skills. That's the most desirable thing you can have on there. Crit chance for spell, increased critical chance is really nice as well. So is cast speed. A little extra spirit is not bad to have until you switch over to Kaom's, which removes all of your spirit. So if you don't want to bother looking for spirit on your amulet, feel free to not. Grab life if you can and resistances if you need it. As for the charms, one of my favorites is the charm of thawing. Anytime you get frozen, it unfreezes you, which basically means it saves your life. And similarly, the stunned charm, you get stunned, it's gonna prevent you from being stunned again for 3 seconds here. As for the flasks, nothing special or unique is needed here. Just go ahead and grab the biggest life flask that you can, especially when you get the Kaom's Heart. You're going to want a high value on that flask so that it's actually healing a good chunk of your health, despite the fact you've got this massive Kaom's Heart on. And then same thing for mana. You just want it to give you a ton of mana so that you're not running out of flash charges. Once you get the Kaom's Heart, this goes from being a capable but semi-squishy build at T15 to being almost unkillable in the T15 maps. It's so satisfying. So as soon as you can get your hands on one, go ahead and slap that on there just to make mapping a lot more comfortable. As far as auras that you can wear while leveling through the campaign, Time of Need is nice. This is just going to heal you occasionally and remove curses. Siphon Elements is also nice. This is going to increase the distance from which you can pick up remnants that are dropped on the floor when you're killing enemies. And then Withering Presence is nice for reducing the enemy's chaos resistance around you. And then whenever you get your first few divine and you switch over to Chaos, you can go ahead and you will no longer have any spirit and you won't need to worry about those anymore. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to ask down in the comments below. I love talking about these builds. I love making them, and I'm happy to help you guys out. Thanks so much for watching. If there's any part of Path of Exile that's confusing you, maybe check out my complete Path of Exile beginner guide linked in the description below, where I deep dive into every aspect of Path of Exile 2. Just put it on and listen to it while you're playing Path of Exile yourself.